My name's Dan. This is Pilates All Levels here at Studio Blue. We're going to start with a lot of foundational movements. We'll build it up. There's going to be a lot of rotation built in today, a lot of upper back rotation, a lot of abdominals and a lot of glutes. So if something doesn't feel good in your back, your neck, or your joints, just know you can always peel it back, or you do not have to do anything that doesn't feel right in your body. So all of that said, let's come on to our mat. And we're going to start lying down today on our back. And again, if your neck generally is a little bit tight or tense, you can grab a small towel or small pillow and just place it behind the head. And we're going to start just by closing our eyes and taking a couple deep breaths. And this can be any breath you want to start. So an inhale through the nose or through the mouth. And an exhale through the nose or the mouth, whatever feels more comfortable. But as you start to breathe in, just notice where your breath initially wants to go. Into your stomach, your ribs. And then as you exhale, start to feel for getting a little bit heavier. So your pelvis, your ribs, your shoulders, your head, all of your kind of bony points are getting heavier into the floor. Just take one more deep breath in. Pause for a moment at the top of that inhale. And then exhale, let it all out. And then take your peace fingers to your hip bones, take your thumbs to the base of your ribs. Take a breath in through your nose now, and as you exhale, you want to feel the waistline draw in, allow your lower back to imprint very gently towards the floor. And as you inhale, let that open towards neutral, so there's a little bit of space underneath your lower spine. And again, exhale, waistline draws in. Try not to overly use your butt or your hips. And then as you inhale, the hips reach forward. We create just a little bit of space underneath that lower spine. So take a couple more like this. Avoid pushing through the feet. Inhaling towards neutral, maybe even going a little past neutral, so arcing the spine and the pelvis. And notice as your pelvis and your lower body move, your head and your neck are most likely going to do a little adjustment as well, because the lower back is connected to the neck and the head. And just one more like this. Inhaling towards neutral, pelvis opens. And this time as you exhale, curl the tail. Press into the feet and slowly roll your hips up to the sky, one vertebra at a time. Pausing with the hips in line with the knees and the shoulders. As you exhale, slowly start to roll down, upper back, middle back, lower back. Let the pelvis open to neutral. You're neutral at the bottom. And again, curl the tail and roll up slowly. So initially the abs start to movement, and then as the hips start to lift, the back of the glutes kick in, the back of the hamstrings kick in. And as you roll down, notice, are you rolling on one side of your spine more than the other? Can you roll through your spine fairly evenly, so hitting every part of your back? And the next time that you roll up into your bridge, let's pause at the top. So holding here, if you notice your knees are tensing, your feet might be too close to you. If you notice your lower back is really tensing, your feet might be too far away. So just find that place where the knees are about 90 degrees. We're pressing down into the feet, pressing into the palms. Glutes are on. Now allow the front of the ribs to drop down so your obliques and your abdominals are working. Feel like the knees were stretching forward as the heels pull towards you. And now imagine that you had a block or a ball in between your knees so they can't move. Inhale, let your right hip drop and rotate to the floor. And then exhale, pick that hip back up. Inhale, left hip drops, it rotates towards the floor. And then exhale, we lift back up. And as your pelvis is rotating, you want to allow that movement to come up through the spine. And you want to try to keep the knees, for the most part, over the ankles. Try to reconnect to the back of your glutes every time you press up. And sometimes adding just a little bit of weight to your heels will help. It doesn't mean there's not weight on your toes, but again, just a little bit of effort or thought into the heels might give you more glute work. Finish to your left side. Take an inhale at the top. Exhale, roll down. Upper back, middle back, lower back. Let the pelvis open to neutral. Nod your chin. Exhale, curl the chest and the head up, just to the tips of the shoulder blades. Arms hover off the ground. On your next breath out, take the hands together behind the head. Keep the head supported, and then lower the chest and the head down. Take an inhale at the bottom. Exhale, nod the chin. Curl up. So the ribs are sliding down. Check that your pelvis is still neutral. Inhale, lower the chest and the head. Exhaling to curl. Inhaling down. So your ab curl or your chest lift is going to tell you a lot about your body. So it's going to allow you to kind of notice what's going on in your upper back. So if your upper back is feeling tight, that can limit your height. If your abs are feeling tired, if you've been doing a lot of classes this week, right, it's a way to kind of check in with how your abdominals are feeling. Try to allow the head to really surrender into your hands, so your neck doesn't have to do too much work. And just one more like this. And this is going to be kind of the foundation, the stepping stone to all of our other abdominal work today. Now let's lift up on this next one, nodding the chin, curling up. Now keep your pelvis on the ground as you inhale. Grab the back of your thighs, feet are heavy. Use your arms to curl up just a little higher. So the breastbone sinks, the shoulder blades are just barely off the floor. Take an inhale into the back of your ribs. Exhale, hands together behind the head, try not to lower. And then from your abdominals, lower down slowly in space. Take an inhale. Exhale, curl up. Inhale, reach for your thighs. Relax the shoulders. Exhale, use your arm strength, curl just a little higher. Send your waistline down. Exhale, hands to the head, stay lifted. And then slowly, slowly, slowly lower the chest, lower the head to the floor. Just one more like this, still warming up. Exhale, lift. Ribs glide down, breastbone heavy, pelvis hasn't changed. Inhale, grab the back of your thighs. Exhale, lift just a little higher. Maybe this one, take a little wiggle into your upper back. On your next breath out, stay lifted, hands to the head. And then as you inhale, lower the chest and the head all the way down to the ground. Arms can rest by your side. Walk the feet just a little bit closer towards you. And then as you exhale, curl your tailbone, roll your pelvis back up to the sky, one vertebra at a time. Now, once you get to the top, your hips are going to stay completely square. So you might have to take your hands on your hip bones and just make sure one isn't dropping or rotating. The ribs are heavy. Put some weight into your left foot. Exhale, can your right heel or maybe the whole right leg float up tabletop? Notice if this right hip wanted to drop. See if you can keep those hips square. Lower the foot and the heel. Now weight into the right leg, exhale, left heel, or that whole left leg can float up tabletop. Again, check that your hips haven't moved. Inhale to lower, and exhale to switch. Making sure the ribs aren't popping or flaring. And if you feel your lower back working more than your glutes, you can try taking your hips just a little bit closer to the floor, keeping the waistline in, and breathing. And if you get lost on the breath, just know if that's okay, just breathe wherever you want, as long as you're breathing. We're going to end with the left leg or heel lifting and lowering. Feel both feet are pretty heavy against the floor. Palms are heavy. Shoulder blades are heavy as well. Exhale, start to roll down again, upper spine, all the way down to the tailbone. Let the pelvis open to neutral. Nod the chin, curl the chest up. Take a breath. Exhale, hands together behind the head. And then on your next breath out, we're gonna rotate up and over to the right. Stretch your left arm past your right thigh. Inhale, come to center, stay lifted. Exhale, up and over to the left. Right arm stretches past the left knee. Inhale, center. Exhale, twist, reach. Inhale, center, twist, reach. So notice if your pelvis is wanting to overly tuck. See if you can relax the tailbone. And it's okay to have a little bit of an imprint in your lower spine. If that feels more comfortable for your back, that's all right. Just try not to overly grip through your glutes and through the front of the hips. One more to the left. Come back to center, lower the chest and the head down. Now, pelvis is neutral. Elbows can open out to the side just for a moment. And the fingers can always come wider if the shoulders feel tight. Ribs are heavy. Imprint through the lower spine. Option, you can float one leg at a time, tabletop. So the knees are 90 degrees. As you exhale, you're gonna tap your right heel fairly close to your body, and then inhale, bring it back up. And exhale, the left heel is gonna tap fairly close to the body. Inhale up. So as you're doing this, notice if this part of your back, underneath the lower spine and the base of the ribs, wants to arc or pop up. And you want to think of drawing your waistline in using your exhale, and then feeling the base of the ribs dropping down. So it's not just deep low abs, but it's also your obliques and really your whole abdominal system having to stabilize your ribs on your pelvis. Right? Now arms can always come by your side if that feels better in your shoulders or your neck. Right? If you want to progress, finish off to that left side. And then lift the head and the chest. So your elbows are in your peripheral vision. Breastbone's heavy. Keep the chest lifted. Same thing. Right heel dropping. Inhale up. Left heel dropping. Now progressing this, you might start to take your foot a little further away from you without changing your center, without changing your core. So again, just ways to add on. If you want to peel it back, head stays down, feet stay down, pelvis is neutral, one leg floats up and lowers down, trying not to shift or change the pelvis. So there's no rotation. On this one, you can maintain neutral. Right? So that's the peel back. Otherwise, we're still up here, tapping, inhaling up, exhaling to tap. Finish off your last two, ending to your left side. Once you finish that side, lower the chest, lower the head. Take your hands across your shins and let your feet really get heavy. Tailbone's heavy to the ground. Exhale, your fingers and your toes reach to the sky. And then as you inhale, bend your knees, grab your shins. And if your hamstrings are tight, that's okay. Just keep a little bit of a bend in the knees. We want to try to keep the knees over the hip joint, so we're not really lengthening the legs too far away from our midline yet. Shoulders are heavy, jaws relax. Right? Now, if you want to progress into this, you can always reach fingertips and legs a little bit further away and start to sweep the hands around. Right? Just make sure you're not going to hit someone or something. Right? Now, if you want to progress it a little further, the next time you grab your shins, lift your chest. Feel like you're kind of kicking your shins into your hands, so that's helping keep your chest up. And then keep the chest still lifting as you reach the limbs away. So exhaling to reach, inhaling to sweep around. And especially as your arms go overhead, you want to make sure that your head doesn't start to fall back in space. Use your breath on this. Last 2, either of the progressions, Last one. And then grab your shins, lower the chest and lower the head. Set the feet to the floor one at a time. Arms relaxed by your side. Now the feet are gonna come wider in a turned out position. So you just wanna make sure feet are at least shoulder distance. A little bit of a turnout. Arms rest by the side. Curl the tailbone, roll the hips up. So this is a wide-legged turned out bridge. So if your thigh muscles or your hips are generally tight, this might just be a nice option to feel a little bit more mobility in through the front of the hips. As your feet are pressing down, notice if the knees want to roll in. Can you keep them reaching towards that second toe? Ribs are heavy, back of the glutes are on. As you inhale, start to allow the hips and the ribs to come down halfway. So everything is moving in one unit. And then press into the feet to lift. So inhale, the ribs and the pelvis come down together. So it's a neutral bridge. Exhale, press through the back of the glutes to lift. Inhale down. Exhale, lift. Now is your waistline still working here? Definitely. Are the hamstrings doing a little bit of work? Yep. But you definitely want to feel your glutes. They are going to be the star of the show. So if you're not sure if they're working, reach around, make sure that you feel some tone without overly gripping through the back muscles. Last one like this. Inhale down. Exhale, lift. Stay lifted. On your next breath out, roll down. Upper, middle, down through the lower spine. Keep your feet wide as your pelvis opens to neutral. Your knees fall to the right. And then as you exhale, use your waistline, bring the ribs and the pelvis through center, let the knees fall to the left. A little bit of rotation through the hips and the lower spine. Exhale through center, stay here, or legs float up tabletop, arms open to a T, palms face up. Inhale, let the legs drift to the right. They're only gonna reach to about a 45-degree angle. You wanna try to keep those knees glued together. Exhale, come back to center. Inhale, legs drift left. My right shoulder is still heavy. I'm using my breath and I'm thinking of my waistline helping to rotate me back. Right? Only going so far that the shoulder doesn't lift. One more each side. Ending to the left. And find your center, grab the back of the thighs, lift the head and the chest. So you're looking right at the tops of the knees. Now the legs are gonna reach to the sky, tailbone's heavy, there's a little bit of an imprint through that lower spine. We're gonna grab either below the right knee or above it. Keep your abs in, the left heel is gonna drop all the way down to the ground. Pull the right leg towards you so you get a nice little stretch in the back of the right hamstring. And then as you exhale, left leg comes up, right leg lowers, right? Use your arms to help keep your chest up for now and to give your left leg a bit of a stretch. Right leg up, exhale, switch. Left leg up, exhale, switch. Nice. Now, can your head come down? Totally. So if you need a little bit more neck support, you can use a pillow. You can lower your head onto the ground. Try to soften the shoulders, relax through the jaw. Now, if you want a little bit more work, hands behind the head, keep the legs moving from the abdominals. Try to keep the chest in the same place. Use your inhale to open the back of the ribs. Use your exhale to feel your waistline. One more. Ending with that left leg up, right leg down. And then we'll hug the left leg into the chest. And as you inhale, pull that leg across the body. Left arm opens up to the side. We're not forcing this. We're just encouraging it. And the deeper you breathe on this, the more movement you might start to find in your spine and in your rib cage. And circle that left leg down to the ground. Hug the right leg in towards your body. And then as you inhale, open that leg across. Turn the right palm to face up, keeping a decent amount of weight through the shoulder and not forcing the rotation in the body, just breathing into it. And then circling that right leg down to the ground, sweeping your arms behind you, palms face each other. So notice if the ribs are popping up, can you draw the rib cage down? So there's just a teeny bit of space under the lower spine, but your upper back is pretty heavy. Point the toes, hug the thighs together. Inhale, arms, head and chest lift into an abdominal curl, and then exhale, start to roll yourself up. And we're gonna stretch forward so the shoulders are just somewhere about over the hips, the waistline still in. And then as you exhale, curl the tailbone, roll back from the pelvis. So your legs are gonna stay pretty heavy. We're rolling through that lower spine, middle spine, upper spine, and head. Inhale, arms, head, and chest lift. Find that moment of pause. Exhale, roll up. If you find your legs are lifting, you might have to bend the knees and grab onto the back of the thighs. Or you can use weights or soup cans in your hands, or a little bit of a pad or a pillow under the lower back. So if you can't get up smoothly and the feet just don't want to stay on the ground, try a pad under your lower spine. Try a little bit of weight in your hands to help offload. And if none of those options work, you can always come up to seated, roll back halfway, only to the edge of where you feel like your feet might want to lift, and then you can roll back up. So that's another peel back. Last one like this. So the next time that we roll up, let's stay lifted at the top. Start to restack, sitting tall, and then we're gonna take our hands behind us. So if you have a pretty cushy mat and your wrists generally have some tension, you can walk back behind your mat so you're on a harder surface. If you have a hard surface with you, the fingers are gonna be pointing towards our feet to start, and the hands are a little bit wider than shoulder distance. And I'm still thinking of lifting through my chest, lifting through my breastbone, and I'm just leaning back a touch. So it's gonna start to open up through the front of your chest and shoulders. And then we're gonna turn our fingers out to the side. Same thing, I'm lifting my chest, spreading my fingers, pressing into my palms, opening up the front of the body. So really good if you're seated or on a computer a lot, which I know a lot of us are now, way more than normal. Now you get to pick. Fingers can be towards your feet or out to the side. I'm gonna stay out to the side today with my fingers. And you're gonna start to press into the feet, lift the hips, maybe just a little to start, and then lower the hips back down. And you wanna think as your hips start to lift, press into your feet, use the back of your glutes like you're doing in your bridge, maybe bringing the hips up so they're about shoulder height, eyes to the sky, lowering down with control. So there's a lot going on this. It's a chest opener, it's a hip opener, and then it's working the back of the body, from the back of the shoulders to the upper back, all the way down your spine, through your calves and into your feet. Now, if none of these options feel good today, stay with that first one where you're just working on the stretch in the front of the chest. And so to work muscles efficiently, they not only need strength, but they need mobility to be able to get into that full range of motion. All right, now, wherever you're at, the next time you lift, hold and maintain your lift. So your hands are pressing down. There's a sense of reaching backwards a little bit. Toes are pointed, glutes are on, chest is opening, abs are on. Lower down slowly. Sitting up tall, we're gonna take our feet just to the outside of our mat. The toes are gonna point up and we're gonna bend the knees a little bit. So I'm gonna teach this from this view just so you can see my spine. So if you're starting here and you just can't get up tall from the hips or the hamstrings maybe being tight, you can fold your mat and place the mat underneath your sit bones, or take a towel. Your hands are gonna come onto your shins, sit a little bit taller. Exhale, nod the chin. Feel the waistline lift as you spine stretch forward. And I don't want you to get too concerned about how far your fingers go. I want you to feel the length and the reach through your spine. And then as you exhale, build back up through your pelvis, lower spine, upper spine, head. Shoulders are just easy out of the ears. And imagine that someone can lift you just a little bit taller from the crown of the head, and then exhale, nod the chin, spine stretch forward. So the spine stretching forward is what's moving the arms. Restack using not only the front of your core, but the back. So lower back extensors, middle back, upper back. Maybe taking the arms up. And again, nodding the chin. Spine stretching forward. Your sit bones are still rooted into the earth. Hands can come just to the inside of the legs or feet. And then again, build back up, lower spine, middle spine, upper spine. Maybe the arms are lifting, one more. Again, nod the chin, spine stretch forward, waistline drawing in, check your shoulders, and then restack, sitting tall, arms lift. Now hands can come across the shoulders. I'm gonna turn to face you. You can come into a cross-legged position if that feels better in your hips, or you can keep your legs wide. Root down through your sit bones, sit tall through the spine. Exhale, start to twist to your left. Doesn't have to be very far. Inhale through center. Exhale, twist to the opposite side. So keep moving for me. And I want you to think as you twist, this is being created from the abdominals, from the muscles around your spine. And we need rotation in the spine for a lot of different reasons. But one reason is it really helps and aids in our back extension. So extension loves rotation. Check as you're rotating, is one leg shifting? Is your pelvis rotating? Maybe arms open to the side, palms up, exhaling to twist. Sitting tall as you return to center. Exhaling to twist. So finish off through that left side, and then bring the thighs back together, point your toes. I'm gonna turn to face towards my mat again. Arms are stretching out in front of us. We're sitting tall, those shoulders are rolling out of the ears. We're gonna curl and roll back just off of our sit bones. So the lower spine is rounding, my upper spine is just following the lead of my lower back. I'm not overly rounding my upper back. Now, waistline stays in. As you exhale, can you lift the right arm? And then inhale, lower. Exhale, waistline stays in, ribs stay heavy as the left arm lifts and lowers. So it's called rib cage arms. So as an arm lifts, you're trying not to move the rib cage. It's staying in place by using the abdominals and the obliques. Now, if you want to add on, bend your knees, feet and thighs together, maybe curl and roll back just a little further. Same thing with the arms. Notice if that changes the sensation in your abdominals. Making sure you're not overly gripping through the hips or the back. And then if you want to take it a step further, float one shin at a time up. So the shins are parallel to the floor. Same thing, one arm lifts and lowers. Try not to change the spine. Your eyes are staring forward. The abs are working as the arms are moving. One more each side. Ending to your left. And then we'll grab the back of the thighs. Allow the feet to get heavy. So if your legs were long, let's all meet in this position. So we have the back of the thighs in our hands. Feet are touching. We're going to let the knees butterfly open. Our weight is just behind our tailbone, just behind our sit bones. Lift the chest to start. And then as you exhale, push your thighs a little into your hands, curl the tail, and again, just round through that lower spine a bit. holding here and breathing. Now we're not gonna do the full rolling like a ball, but as you inhale, can you tip your weight back just a couple inches? Right? Catch yourself with your abs and then exhale, tip your weight forward. So it's an inhale to tip back, not changing the shape of the spine or the legs, exhaling forward. Exhaling and exhaling. And really just breathing wherever you want on this one. So it can be an inhale to start, an exhale to start, just breathe. Holding there. If you want to advance, legs straighten. We can reach up, grabbing onto the calves or the ankles. Now, lift your spine a little bit taller. Press your legs into your arms. Your legs and your arms are both long. And again, as you inhale, round back just a little. Try not to roll all the way back. Exhale, lift your chest now to return. And again, maybe play around with exhaling back to start and inhaling to lift. Just take one more. Try to catch yourself with your abs. Lift your chest. Bring your thighs together. Now, hold here or arms come forward. Try to keep the legs in that position. We're holding for 10. Relax through your toes. Relax your thighs and your hip creases as much as you can. Feeling the deep inner thighs, deep hip muscles, deep abdominals. Holding for 4, 3, 2, on 1. Lower 1 foot at a time. Sit tall, grab your shins, open your chest, roll your shoulders back and out of your ears, and then step your feet just a little bit wider than shoulder distance, and your feet are gonna turn out slightly. Now, if you're recovering from any kind of shoulder injury or rotator cuff injury, you can go back onto your back for that wide-legged bridge. It's gonna be a similar movement in your hips. Otherwise, your right hand is gonna come behind you. It's just kind of somewhere behind the right hip. The left arm reaches forward, and then you want to walk your feet towards you a bit. I'm going to press into the feet. I'm going to bring my weight into my back arm. I'm lifting my left arm to the sky. My hips are lifting, so it's glute work. My spine is rotated, and I'm looking down. So similar to what we started class with today. As I inhale, I'm slowly lowering, not allowing my right shoulder to overly lift into my ears. Exhale, press through the legs, rise up. Maybe take the left arm overhead as you look down, and then inhale, come down slowly. Last one this side. Roll the shoulder out of the ear, pressing through. Again, maybe taking an arm overhead, looking down, coming down slowly, and then we'll switch sides. So the right arm can come forward, the left arm can come back. So checking that your left hand is somewhere behind the left hip, right arm forward. Adjust the feet if needed. Roll that shoulder out of the ear. I'm pressing through my feet, lifting my hips. I'm reaching my right arm straight to the sky to start. And then I'm lowering down. And then adding on, we can lift. Arm comes overhead. My pelvis and my spine, everything's going to be a little bit rotated. So it's upper back extension and rotation. Inhale, lower. Now again, if this does not feel good in your body today, come back to your bridge with wide legs. You're still working back extensors, hip extensors. Do one more for good luck. Coming up and over, and then bringing it down slowly. All right, both hips are heavy. Left arm comes forward to meet the right. Feet come together, and then we butterfly the knees open as we stretch forward. So you can use your hands to open your feet here for a moment. You want to feel that there's some even weight through your sit bones. So just notice if all of your weight is on one hip. See if you can even it out. Let the head and the spine be heavy. And then slowly start to restack, allowing the head to come up last. Make your way onto your side. Doesn't matter which one. And we're going to come all the way down. Knees are bent slightly forward. Heels are in line with the back of my sit bones. Bottom arm is heavy. Now take your top hand to your top hip. Allow that hip to hike up. And then just give it a little reach down. So there's this sense of lift through your bottom waistline. Right? Ribs are heavy. As you exhale, you're going to flex that top foot, rotate the top knee up to the sky, and inhale, lower it down. Now, top arm can come in front of you. It can come onto your top hip as a reminder not to rotate the pelvis back. And you want to check your spine. So we're looking for a neutral pelvis, neutral spine. You're not overly rounded or arced. So you're using three-dimensional core, front to back, side to side, top to bottom to help stabilize. And as this top leg is rotating up, make sure that your top foot is flexed and feel as the knee is rotating and pivoting upward, the top heel is going to slide slightly forward to find that last bit of external rotation and then slowly lower it. Exhaling up, inhaling down. And there's going to be some other side series movements that we're going to do today from a kneeling position. This is going to be the foundation side series position. So you can always come back to this. Last one, exhaling, rotating up, inhaling down. Now the bottom leg is going to stay where it is. The top leg is going to reach out long. We're going to flex the foot. So from your ankle all the way up through the hip and your ears, you're one long line. Again, check that you're not overly rounded, you're not overly arced, somewhere in the middle. And then lower the top leg towards the floor so you barely tap down, and then exhale, lift, inhale, lower. And as you lift, check that your top hip isn't hiking towards you and that you're able to maintain your parallel. Now, is it bad to do a turnout? Is it bad to do a turn in? No, just we're working more of a parallel side leg lift today. And you're only going so far that your leg doesn't start to rotate out of that and your hip doesn't start to hike. And you want to feel those outer gluteals and hip muscles are working. Not only on the up, but also on the resisting down. Start to check in with your jaw, your neck, and your shoulders. Make sure they're not doing too much work. The next time you lift, pause. Start to circle that leg back in space, bring it down, almost touching the floor, forward, up, and around. So for balance, you might have to take your hand in front of you somewhere to help stabilize. If you want to challenge your balance, you might take your top arm overhead, keep the hands apart, and feel that as your leg is moving, right? As the thigh bone moves in the hip joint, your core has to react to keep you balanced. So there might be a little bit of movement, but your core line is trying to stabilize it. Let's reverse, circling back, up, forward, and down. So should you be feeling those outer gluteals? Definitely. Energy through the arms. If that top arm is overhead, torso nice and still. Last two. And last one. And lowering all the way down, we're going to prop ourselves up onto our bottom forearm. So making sure that the bottom elbow is about under the shoulder. We're not collapsed, but you're pressing down. So you feel shoulder, you feel lower waistline, lats, obliques. Top arm can reach to the sky. And then option, you can lift the hips. Trying to find a long line from your nose to your pubic bone. So now feeling a little bit more of the shoulder, this underneath of the waistline, holding here. If you want to add on, you can take the top leg out. Toes are forward, the leg is just a little bit forward of my torso, and then the bottom leg can reach as well. So I'm in a full forearm side plank, right? And it's not just my shoulder working, it's also lower waistline, lower hip line. Now I can lower the hips down. Again, make sure the shoulder hasn't hiked too far up into the ear. I'm pressing down to help lift up and hold. Again, can your knees still be bent? Definitely. Inhale, lower. Press down to help lift the hips up. So if your knees are still on the ground, press into the legs. If your feet are with me, press into your feet. One more. Inhale down. Exhale, lift, hold for 3, 2, and then lower the hips down. We'll bend the legs in towards us. We're going to switch sides, still facing me. Knees bent forward. Heels in line with the back of the sit bones. And top arm is long. So I'm gonna have my head floating a little bit just so I don't cut off the mic. So neck is long, maintain, find neutral, and then just take a little hip hike, taking the hip down and up. Find the place in the middle. So the hips are stacked, waistline's in. Flex your top foot and then rotate the knee up and open. And then inhale down with control. Exhaling to lift. And inhaling to lower. The top arm can be in front. It can always come to the back of the hip. To make sure that as your knee is going up, you're moving in your hip joint, you're not rotating your pelvis back in space. And you might notice one side feels a little bit different than the other. Right? We're working towards balance, but generally we're always a little bit asymmetrical, and that's okay. So now start to play around with, as the top thigh is rotating up, to get that last little bit of external rotation, feel that lower heel slide slightly forward towards me and then lower. Exhaling up, inhaling down. Check that your neck and your jaw are still pretty soft. Last one, and lower. Top leg reaches out long. It's in line with the rest of the body. Flex the foot. You're gonna drop that leg towards the floor, and then we're lifting. Lowering with control, and lifting. So again, making sure as your leg goes up, this top hip isn't hiking towards you. You're gonna feel a different part of the glutes and the hips turning on, right? So it's not just gonna be kind of more towards the back of the pelvis. You should be kind of feeling right in the side of the glutes here. Think of lifting through the outer pinky. And think of that movement stemming from where the thigh meets the pelvis. Last two like this. The next time that you lift up, we'll circle it back, bring it down, sweep it forward, around and up. So notice on this one, if you start to want to move really quickly, especially kind of on the swing forward and up, see if you can slow it down. Controlling it in every part of this range of motion, making sure that you're hitting a forward and up, a back, and a down. So you're getting that full circular motion in the hip joint. Right, waistline still stabilizing. And last one until we reverse. Right, finding your center and then sweeping back, up, around and down. And again, back, up, around and down. At this point, you should be feeling those outer hip muscles, those outer gluteals and hip rotators. Right, whatever doesn't need to be working, check in with it. Last three. Right, hips are still still. Two, right? Maybe your top arm has come overhead. Last one. Find your center, bring the knees back together, prop yourself up onto your lower forearm. And again, make sure that we're not slumped, lower ribs are lifted. Top arm can reach to the sky now. You can lift the hips from here, and you can lower back down. Or lift the hips from here, top leg goes long. It's a little forward of the body, the toes are forward, bottom leg meets it. We're scissoring the thighs together. Let the hips come down with control, right? Make sure that the shoulder isn't overly coming up into the ears. Press into that bottom forearm to help lift. Press into your legs. Hold. Neck is long. Inhale down. Again, two options here, bent legs or straight legs. Exhale, lift, hold. Inhale down. Exhale, lift, hold. Keep holding. Inhale down, just one more. Shoulders throughout the ear, pressing into that bottom forearm, lifting, press into the legs. Feel the whole lower line of the body is on. And then lower the hips down. Bend the knees towards you. We're gonna rise up onto the hands and the knees, coming up towards the top edge of the mat so you have some room for your legs to reach back. Knees under the hips, hands under the shoulders, round your spine. Let your head relax. Let your shoulder blades widen. Inhale, open the chest, look forward. Lift the tailbone slightly so we're arcing through the spine. You might feel a little bit of a stretch through your abdominals. Find the place in the middle of those two extremes. Narrow the knees slightly. Exhale, stretch the right leg back and up. Lower it and bend in. Left leg stretches back and up. And then lower and bring it in. So as you alternate from side to side, again, you're trying to maintain your core engagement. So I'm pressing to my hands, my shoulder blades are wide, my abdominals are lifting. I'm not rounding in my upper spine, so my upper back extensors, my lower back extensors, everything's working together to keep my torso still. Now, if this feels okay, stay here. If you want more challenge, step one leg at a time back into full plank. You'll bend one leg in, reach it out and up, set it down. That's one round. Opposite leg bends in, reach out and up, lower down. So it's a bend, flex the foot, reach. Doesn't have to be very high. Lower, bend, flex, reach, lower. Make sure inner elbows are facing one another. We're not collapsing down through the lower spine. We're keeping that lift through the waistline. Ending to your left side whenever you get there. And then holding and maintaining your plank. This can be a knees down plank now. So if you were on hands and knees, walk the knees back. You can always come onto the forearms here. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2. On 1, let the knees come down if they were lifted. Feet relax. Bend the elbows. Lower yourself all the way down to your tummy. And then you want your nose about an inch off the floor. The hands are going to come forward. So you want to find a place where your hands are somewhere in front of your shoulders, where your shoulders can really relax. The legs are going to open about shoulder distance. Wiggle out the hips from side to side. Find a place where your pubic bone is heavy. And then as you inhale, roll the shoulders back. Peel up just to the base of the ribs. Feel that there's a little bit of stabilization through your glutes, your lower waistline. Exhale, lower. Allow the shoulders to relax at the bottom. Inhale, start to peel up. Feel those shoulder blades drawing a little in and down. And we're trying to extend through the upper spine while keeping the lower spine stable. Bring it down. One more like this. Start to peel up. Waistline drawing in, pubic bone fairly heavy. And down. And then adding on to this, you can take your arms forward. Hands are shoulder distance. Legs can narrow slightly. So I'm going to roll my shoulders out of my ears a bit. I'm going to press into the palms and float the chest up just to about the base of the breastbone. And then I'm going to keep my pubic bone heavy. Exhale, the right leg starts to float up. So the front of the hip is opening. You should feel the back of the gluteal line and hamstring kick in. Lower it down and then exhale, left leg floats up. Isn't too much change to the lower spine. Exhale, float. So I want you to feel that as your leg is lifting, the front of the hip has to stretch open. Now, this is very similar to what we did on hands and knees. So if this position doesn't feel good in your lower back, for any reason, come back to hands and knees. You're still going to be working through hip extension. Now, adding on, right leg can lift, left arm lifts, hold. Can you ease, right? Not jam, but just kind of ease the left shoulder out of the ear. Lower, Left leg lifts, right arm lifts. So I want you to feel a connection at the bottom tip of your shoulder blade. Lower, exhale, switch. So your core, the front of your core is stabilizing. Your back extensors are stabilizing. They're working. And then as the arm lifts, it's the underside of the shoulder blade and the back of the shoulder that gets to kick in. Ending left leg, right arm, and then eventually lowering the chest and the head down, taking the hands underneath the forehead and just wiggling your hips from side to side. Now you can always bend your knees and let your feet windshield wiper from side to side if you want a little bit more motion in the hips. Lovely. And then coming back to center, hands are going to come just by the side of the ribs. We're going to roll the shoulders out of the ears, press into your arms, rising back to the hands and the knees. So the hands are directly under the shoulders. We're going to press down through the left arm so you feel the back side of the shoulder, the front side of the chest, and then I'm going to try to take my right hand to my heart. My shoulders are still square, my hips are still square. Inhale, right arm down, stabilize to that right arm, and then exhale, left hand to the heart. Inhale, lower. So as you're alternating from side to side, your core is working, right? Around the shoulder blades are working, the back, the front, the side. So this one, we're finding stability now. Right hand to your heart. Your fingertips stay at your heart. I'm going to push into the left arm, and I'm going to allow my upper spine to find a bit of a twist. Now, the head's only moving because my upper spine is. Try not to overly look towards the ceiling yet. Come down, right hand heavy, left hand to the heart. Now push into the right arm. Add a little bit of that upper spine rotation, extension. Bring it down. Now adding on right hand to your heart, your left leg can reach back, toes on the ground. I'm opening the chest, maybe open the arm. And I'm just keeping my eyes in line with my breastbone. Really rooting into my standing arm. Bring it back down. Right, stability first, left hand to the chest. Right leg can reach out, toes on the ground if you want to add on. We find that rotation, lifting the arm, keeping the waistline in, pressing through the bottom arm. Bringing it down. One more each side, any variation that feels good in your body today. Right? Every day is going to be a little bit different. Again, anything we're doing with rotation, try not to force it, but rather breathe into it. Nice. Coming back after you finish that left side, let's come onto our forearms. And you can measure them by grabbing onto the upper biceps. And then hands can come forward, palms can turn up, so we're working through the back of the shoulders. And then shifting our weight so our shoulders are directly over the elbows. Now your knees can walk back in space and the hips can lower, making sure we're not overly arched, we're not overly lifted. Or you can tuck and come into a full forearm side plank. So really pressing down into the forearms, thinking of pulling the inner elbows in, lift the waistline up, and find that piece where you're not overly rounding, you're not overly extending your abs, your back muscles, your glutes, your thighs, everything having to work here. Holding for 5, 4, 3, 2, and then lower the knees if they were lifted on 1, pressing up to the hands and the knees, round your spine like a cat. Opening the chest to neutral, and then wag your tail a little bit to the right, look towards it. So the left side of your spine is going into a side bend. Inhale to center, wag left, and look left. And then inhale to center. One more each side, so just a little bit of side bending. And finish off that last side. And then find your center. Your hands are underneath your shoulders. Listen to me really carefully on this one. Your left knee stays where it is. I'm gonna take my left toes, I'm rotating them out off my mat. My right leg extends, my right arm comes up, right? Now, you want your weight enough into this top leg that I don't have a lot of weight on my bottom arm. So I'm rooting through my bottom leg. Make sure your hips aren't too far back, but the pelvis is stacked over the knee. Waistline's drawing up, top arm's lifting, and then take that top arm into a bigger side bend, looking down. So just up leveling the side stretch, rooting through the hand, lifting through the waistline. Come back to center. Now, this top arm can come down. You can lift the top leg up. Lower that top leg down. Top arm stretches overhead. Again, find your side stretch. Root. Keep rooting through that bottom leg, opening through the front of the hips. And again, top arm can come up. You can add on by lifting this top leg. Waistline still in. One more time. Side bending. And leg lifting. And then let's lower everything down to the ground. Switching sides. So I'm going to do this so you're going to look at my back side. So the toes, opposite toes rotate out. Left arm, left leg reach. So you get kind of a back view of this. Make sure you're not overly sticking out your buns. The hips aren't falling back, but the pelvis is somewhere over the knee, toes forward. You can take your top arm overhead, finding that side stretch. Coming to center, maybe lifting the leg, flexing the foot. Waistline still in. Neck is long. Lowering the leg, top arm again overhead, looking down. Waistline drawing in. Rooting through that bottom leg. Lifting. Holding. Three-dimensional core working. And again, side bend. And add that lift if we're adding on, holding. And ending with that side bend. And eventually reaching that hand towards the floor, pushing back child's pose. So feet together, knees butterfly open. Arms can reach out in front of you. Head can be heavy towards the floor. If it doesn't quite touch, you can always place a block or a pillow underneath. And then you can actively press your palms into the ground to help open the chest, the armpit muscles, and the back extensors. And then slowly start to restack, coming into a seated position. So this can be a cross-legged position. You can be on your shins. And just find a place where your shoulders are easy. You can roll them out a little bit. And then we're going to end with a bit of a stretch for our palm and up into the forearms that can help with wrist tension. This is a forest yoga wrist release. So your left palm can turn up. Your right arm is going to reach underneath. And you're going to grab the root of your thumb, spread the fingers, and gently draw down. So feeling a pretty big stretch through the palm, up into the forearm. Try to ease into the shoulders. Inhale to let that go. Grab the root of your pointer finger. Now you can use your right thumb to help leverage the wrist open. If you haven't done this before, just go easy. You don't necessarily need a lot of force. Inhale to let it go. Exhale to reach. If you're hypermobile or really, really bendy in your elbows, try not to lock out the elbow. Make sure you're breathing. Just coming through every finger, eventually shaking that out. And then right palm is up, left arm reaches under. We grab the root of the thumb. Exhale, spread, open. Inhale to release, pointer finger. And then starting to notice if one hand or wrist or finger feels different than the other. Checking that your posture is still tall. And eventually ending with your pinky, shaking that out. Just make sure you're not going to hit anything or anyone. We're going to press the arms out to the side. So really pushing through the palms. Spread the fingers, pulling the fingernails towards you, and then you're going to roll through your pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb. Make a fish, draw the knuckles down, ease into the shoulders. Let that relax. Just one more time, press the walls out. Roll through pinky, ring, middle, pointer, thumb. Make a fist. Knuckles draw down. Relaxing that. Last thing, the arms reach out, palms face me, thumbs draw in, all four fingers draw around, and then let your knuckles drop towards the floor. So the side of the wrist in here is getting a stretch. Okay. Check that the shoulders aren't lifting. Let that relax. One more time, reach. Palms face me, thumbs in. All four fingers wrap around, knuckles draw down. Take a breath. And then ease the hands into the lap. Inhale your shoulders up. Exhale them together, back and down. Just take a couple like that. Inhale up. Exhale back. And reverse. Together, up and forward. And down. Last one. Good. If you're in a cross-legged position, switch the leg that was crossed. Right. Option, you can always come onto your back. But we're going to end just with a little bit of breathing. So exactly how we started, just maybe in a different position. Palms can be down or up, whatever feels comfortable. And then close your eyes. And you're going to count to yourself. We're just going to breathe in for a count of 5 through the nose. Pause for a moment, relaxing the shoulders, the jaw, and the neck. And then exhale through the mouth for 5, slowly and softly. And again, inhaling. Find a moment of pause, check your jaw, your neck, your shoulder muscles. Exhale softly, try not to lose your posture as you breathe out. And just one more, breathing in, maybe breathing in to 6 or 7, or wherever you feel like your whole body isn't tensing or struggling through it. Find that moment of stillness at the top. And exhale out slowly and softly. And open your eyes. Thank you very much for joining me. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, dan@studiobluepdx.com. We're here for you. We have 2 classes a day. And on Saturdays at 1 o'clock, we have a ton of workshops coming up in the next 3 weeks. Thank you very much.